Yo, I am on tour. Come see me next week in Pittsburgh, Wednesday, October 23rd. And that show's filling up, so don't wait to get your tickets. And then the next night, next Thursday, I'll be in Buffalo. First time ever, dude. I want people to pack out that show and show the citizens of Buffalo that I'm not to be messed with. And I know no one's really saying anything like that, but just come to the show. That's the point of what I'm trying to say. And then we're finishing the year off with big cities, dude. I'm talking November 15th, Cleveland. November 17th, Philly. That one's like halfway sold out, so don't wait on that one. And also don't wait on Denver. December 4th on a Wednesday. Oh my God, I'm so excited to play Comedy Works. It's insane. So don't miss that show if you're in Denver. And if you have friends there, tell them to go to the show. And then Thursday, Phoenix, Stand Up Live, December 5th. December 18th, Nashville. And then Happy New Year, Minneapolis, January 11th. I am planning on announcing new tour dates early November in a couple of weeks. It'll be from basically January until March, announcing all those dates. And I'm excited. And I'm back with a new podcast. The tickets are all in the description. Whether you're listening to it or watching it, it's all in the description. Easy to find. And I think it's time to do a podcast. Let's talk some stand-up. Let's go. Back at it. Hi, everybody. Your boy, Willie Burke. Dude, I wonder I've always thought about what a nickname would be for my fan base now that I actually have fans. The only one that ever came to mind would be like Burkheads. And some of you were probably heard that and were like, oh, that's sick. And some of you were like, that's so cringy. It's not bad. And that's not in my notes to talk about, but I just kind of spare the moment. We're like, oh yeah, that's the only idea I've had for the fan bases. Because usually, I feel like people have names for fan bases. So leave some comments to see if you got any ideas. Who are y'all? Who do you identify as? And also, please subscribe to the channel. I'm working on some things, some new projects for the YouTube. And, I'm always trying to evolve. And, I don't think I'll be doing this podcast every week necessarily just because, working on some other things for you guys. And but I am here. I'm present. I'm excited to talk about the last couple of weeks of shows. And I've realized what my biggest pet peeve about, let me really rephrase this. A pet peeve that I've realized when it comes to touring is when people comment, not when people comment like, when are you coming to this city? And you had just been there, because sometimes the algorithm doesn't show you my stuff until it's too late. So that's fine. This is my number one pet peeve comment is when people go, where are you playing in this city? Where? Like, oh, where are you going to be in Phoenix? What do you mean where? Look it up. Where? That's the easiest question to answer. You go to the website and where it's you find websites and you click on it and you go, there's the Phoenix. Let me click on, oh, it's that place. You're not going to do 2 clicks? I got to do the work for you? Also, what does it matter where? As if it's like, oh, you're at that place? Not going to do it. Oh, you're at that place? Okay, I'll go. Where? Where? What do you mean where? When makes more sense. Where? Lazy. I don't like laziness. That's my least favorite quality in people is laziness. That's the worst excuse. And so many comedians are lazy, man. Posting whack-ass clips or just not hustling, not doing the work. It's like, bro, if your excuse is that you're lazy, I'm out. I'm out on you if that's your excuse, because laziness is not a thing. And a good excuse would be you have kids. A good excuse would be health. Good excuse would be not wanting your marriage to fall apart. These are all good excuses. Oh, you're just a little tie-tie? You're lazy? You want to sit on the couch instead of putting in the work so you're successful? Oh, and you didn't make it. Oh, zero sympathy for that. Sorry. I'm in a bit of a confrontational mood lately. I don't know what's going on with me. Maybe I'm on my man period or something. But I'm wanting smoke. Like, I don't know what it is. I've even Kaylee was like, why are you so argumentative? I'm like, I don't know. I almost fucking yelled at some guys outside of a sushi place recently. Not yelled at them, but dude, we get takeout from like the same sushi place like every Monday, and there are these, and it's like a delivery only place, meaning like they only do DoorDash type orders. And they're these like, it's like the whole block outside the restaurant is like these 12 guys who look like henchmen from John Wick. and they're all smoking cigarettes, like, and couldn't look less friendly. And I walk by them every time. None of them smile at me. None of them look at me. None of them move out of the way. I gotta like dodge their cigarette smoke. I'm so close to saying some shit because they don't know. I could be John Wick, right? Let's say they fuck with me, and then their boss could call them and be like, "Oh, do you know who you just messed with? That's Will Burkart, that up and coming, super handsome comedian. Dude, you're fucked. The Burkheads are coming after you. They don't know. Dude, you want to know? I got my biggest celebrity follow of my career. Biggest celebrity follow. You ready for who it is? Because I saw the initials of this person liked my video, and I was like, huh, this person's verified. Who are they? Oh, shit. Neil Patrick Harris followed me. How crazy is that? I almost didn't believe it. I was like, what? And I didn't see it until like a day later. I almost didn't even see it. Dude, NPH, steady liking your boy's clips. Shout out. I haven't messaged him yet. Would it be funny if I don't follow him back either. No, dude, I want to message him, but like I don't know what to say. I think I'm procrastinating because I'm like nervous. I'm like, what do you say to this dude? That's NPH, bro. That's a legend right there. And which makes sense that he followed me because of all of my gay following. It's like now I have like the king of the gays that's following me. I'm like, it's only right. This makes sense. So shout out to NPH, my new friend. And he doesn't know we're friends yet, but we're going to be friends. And I'm going to get him to invite me and Kaylee over for game nights at his house. At his mansion, excuse me. That's my plan. That's the bucket list goal. Game night at NPH. Calling it now. Because they probably have game nights. Right? They do. And they're fucking awesome. And the food's unreal. And everyone's drinking just to like get a heavy buzz. And no one's sloppy. It's all very classy. I'm just saying, dude. I'm probably going to put on like a collared shirt with a sweater over it. And I don't even wear that shit. But I'm probably going to wear it for that. You know, boots. I'm just saying. This is how I've envisioned things going. More to come. I want to talk about a couple of cities that I did recently. I did Atlanta. I did Richmond, Virginia, and Virginia Beach. That's what we're going to recap on the pod. Atlanta. Let's do Atlanta first. I played this place called City Winery, which is, you may have heard of it. I've done City Winery in Philly. It's this new kind of brand of venues that does mostly music, but they're doing a lot more comedy now. And it's a pretty standard space. It's a little bit bigger. It's pretty, actually, now I'm thinking about it, it's like the ceilings aren't too high. It's a bit of a big space. But it's a very different type of vibe. It's a little classier. They have really nice food. They have nice wine. It's like a classier vibe. And Atlanta's a weird market where it's like last year I did an indie show for the Just Us tour. Wouldn't necessarily go back to that place. It was cool, but I wouldn't necessarily go back there because I want to do an actual like club. The Atlanta Punchline, that's the main club there, but it's I think just didn't make sense for the deal, and I've heard, whatever. I don't want to get into it, but just didn't make sense to go there. And so really City Winery was the move. So we got that for the one night show. And it was one of those times where I only had that show on a Thursday. This was like, and I've talked about it before. If I'm going all the way to East Coast, my agent tries to line up at least one more East Coast show for me so I can kind of bang out those two while I'm in the city instead of going all the way to Atlanta for one show. But for whatever reason, the way this lined up, couldn't get another city. I think the only other option was doing Nashville and Atlanta because those are close by. But the only option to do that schedule would be to do Nashville on a Tuesday and Atlanta on a Wednesday. Nashville had no Wednesdays available in October. And I was like, I don't want to do Nashville on a Tuesday. It's a big city for me. I don't want to do a Tuesday show. Like, I would rather go to Atlanta for one show than have a Nashville on a Tuesday. So I said, fuck it. Confirm the Atlanta Thursday. Let's go. And this is the one time, I don't think I've ever done this, where I've flown in the day of the show on the East Coast. And the reason I don't do it is because I have to wake up at like 0:30. Right? I have to take a 7 a.m. flight and get in at like 4, and the show's at 7 or 8, and it's exhausting. But the reason I did it is because I didn't want to spend basically 3 days for one show, right? It's like, I fly out the day before, that day's gone, And then I get in late on the night before. I'm eating some shitty food. I wake up, do the show, and then the next day I fly out, and I'm like, that day's gone too. So dude, 3 days for one show. It's so uncomfortable. And the reason you go day before is because you don't want some shit to get fucked up with the flight and miss the show. But to me, it was like, this is one show, and if something goes crazy wrong, this can be rescheduled. Especially in Atlanta, it's like that's an easy place to get to, especially if I'm doing other East Coast shows. It's like, again, it can be fixed. So I took the risk. And dude, it's just, I never do early flights because if you do, you just get sick all the time because your sleep's messed up. I never do that. I rarely have had a flight before 11 a.m. when I'm touring. But this one it was 7 a.m. I woke up at 4:30 a.m. 4:30 is an insane time to wake up. I'm a night owl. Your boy is like up until 2 sometimes. Dude, waking up at 4 is insane. And like I was making coffee at 4 and I was like, this feels strange. I feel like it's the middle of the night. Why am I making coffee right now? And your boy loves coffee. I love waking up and being like, let's get the coffee ripping. But it's like, it felt, I was like, why am I doing this right now? I'm not ready for coffee. Direct flight into Atlanta. Atlanta airport is an absolute shit show. And I'm sure you guys know. That's one of the few times I've ever missed a flight is in Atlanta. It's the busiest airport in I believe, the world. And they talk about it over the loudspeaker. They're like, this is welcome to Atlanta airport. This is the busiest airport in the world. I'm like, don't brag about that. That's not a good thing. It takes me an hour to get out of your goddamn airport. You're on the air tram, between terminals like this with everybody. It's awful. I mean, legit landed it. I don't think I left with the rental car for another 90 minutes after we landed. Don't like it, Atlanta airport. And then leaving Atlanta airports, like the security lines were insane. I have clear and pre-check. What's up? I'm basically a pilot. I get right on. And I got the clear because it's like you get clear with pre-check because sometimes the pre-check line is long. So then you get clear. So then you get like, even faster line. Dude, the clear pre-check line was the longest line I've stood in all year. One of the longest I've ever stayed in. Both clear and pre-check. That's how fucking crazy this airport is. So it made me want to not go back to Atlanta. That's how much I didn't like the Atlanta airport. But the main concern for me was getting there, and we got there, and it was fine. I felt fine. I was more nervous about how I was feeling because like I didn't want to have a bad show because I was so tired. I was off 4 hours of sleep, and I didn't want to, have just like not a good show because of this choice that I made. And so I was a little bit nervous about that. And it's funny getting to the venue because it's such a different vibe than doing a comedy club just because they're not asking you the same questions. They don't do a lot of comedy. So it's kind of like there's no one giving you, they're not asking for walk-up songs or how much time are you doing. It's just like, there's the show, you do the show, we serve the people, which is fine. There was one moment where they were potentially going to charge me for filming the show because every club has expenses that you get charged for, right? Whether it's the travel they're paying for you, whether it's taxes, whether it's just a house fee, which is just kind of just production costs. Every club has expenses. Some are high, some are low. And so City Winery, their expenses are a little bit high because it's a nice place, which is fine. But they also were gonna charge me an additional $500 to film, like my usual filming thing where I just film the show, edit the clips. Like they were gonna charge me to do that, and I was ready to call off the show. I was like, if they charge me for this, I'm not gonna be a happy boy. I'm off 4 hours of sleep. I'm not happy. Luckily they didn't, but dude, I was gonna raise hell if they did, because that's not a thing, and also it's never happened before. And I've done a City Winery before and filmed, and no one said this before. So you're making it up. But it didn't happen. So all good. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm mad at the idea of what could have happened. Overall, I thought the show was great in Atlanta. The goal I set for myself was basically what's been happening is your boy's growing a little bit. We got the followers have been kind of skyrocketing. It's been like, lately it's kind of been like almost like 1,000 a day, 1,000 every 2 days on Instagram. Facebook also has been like popping off for the first time kind of in like the last 3 years. Things are going really well. And the whole kind of narrative I'm trying to build now is like, because of the growth in followers, I want the ticket sales to grow with that. That's the hope. And then that's the same thing that my agent has told me, is that kind of like, that's the hope now, is that, in these kind of middle markets, I've been doing 150, right? Whether it's Atlanta, whether it's Pittsburgh's a good example, Raleigh, what's another? Cleveland, Orlando. These are examples of mid markets, as opposed to a big market would be New York, Boston, Chicago. And the mid markets, again, and then those cities that tickets can fly, right? The mid markets, I typically can do 150. And so the new goal for those mid markets to me is I want to get 200. And then smaller markets where I do maybe 100 tickets, bump that to 150. So I want the ticket sales, again, to grow with the growth in followers, right? Neil Patrick Harris, grow, game night, right? You get what I'm saying. So my goal was 200. And in Atlanta, I did 196. And I am fired up about that. That was awesome. I didn't know how I would do in Atlanta. It was a really slow start. The tickets in the front were $40, which I didn't love. So they ended up being like, with this fees, like $47 a ticket. For the people of Atlanta, I didn't love that. I kind of flagged that when I got the offer, and we were kind of like, let's leave it. Let's see how it goes. Sure enough, a lot of them got bought, so it was fine. But things like that, I was like, I don't want to give people any sort of deterrent in buying tickets. And so I was like, I don't know. But ended up working out just fine. And another reason I'm so excited about that amount of tickets is because I did almost 200 with an Atlanta Falcons game going on at the same time for Thursday Night Football. Bad luck there. So I definitely lost people for that. Let's call it 10 people. And there was a big-ass concert going on at the same time. This Charlie XCV, I still don't know. XCX. God, I'm so fucking old. Whoever this is, I honestly don't know who they are, but I think she or they or whoever they are is huge. And I think someone in the meet and greet told me that this person has a large gay following, and so I definitely lost out on some gay fans who went to the concert instead. In fact, two dudes who were there said they sold their Charlie XCX tickets to see me, which was so nice. But that's how much of a thing this was. So I probably lost another 10 people that way. So your boy probably could have done 220 on a different type of night. So overall, stoked about that. And again, the show was really great. I had some fun riffs about the Atlanta airport that people resonated with. I was feeling very loose and silly and fun, where I was kind of a little bit delirious, but in a good way. Couple of kind of annoying women in the front who kept chiming in, and one of them I had to like, she did this thing which I've never seen before. She was like already talking and yelling stuff out, and then I was doing crowd work on this guy, and like she started talking to him to like clarify questions, and now he's talking to her, and I was like, hey everyone, shut up. Me talk to the guy, you listen and laugh. This is me and him, don't chime in, don't help. And she was like, I'm trying to help. I'm like, oh, that's the last thing you're doing right now. And I've talked about this on the pod before, about having like hard time shutting people up, and I finally kind of did it in a way that I felt comfortable about, where I basically was like, hey, this isn't Netflix, I can hear you. And that was enough to like make people laugh and get her to shut up without being like, hey, shut up. I think I've kind of found that line, and I don't think I'm the first one to use that type of line, but it was nice to be able to do it, because that's something I've really wanted to work on, is how to like tell someone to nicely shut up, and kind of did it. So overall, I feel the show only got better and ended so fun. It was a long meet and greet, sold a bunch of merch, the vibes are way up, and it was nice to know that I can pull off a 4:30 wake up, get to the East Coast, deal with the Atlanta airport, and still have a great show. What a great lesson to learn. And then I come back on Friday, and I basically have about 3 days in town before I leave for Richmond on Tuesday. And that is when I officially started to feel burnt out. And what that looks like is I'm just like mentally and physically exhausted. I am like, there's been moments where I've just been standing there in my apartment, just like, I'm just gone. I'm like a zombie, whether it's just the going back and forth to the East Coast, because I was just in New York the week before Atlanta. So I'm like 3 hours ahead, 3 hours back, 3 hours ahead, 3 hours back. And it's like, and I still am at home now managing so many other things, taking care of Oso, prioritizing Kaylee, which I want to be doing. That's the most important thing to me. But I just have so many things on my plate. And so having, then leaving again for the East Coast, I was like, this is the point of the tour every year that feeling starts. I remember last year is the exact same time. Early October, I was burnt out. I was gassed out. It's just because I've been going all year and going hard and trying really hard and not being lazy. And so I'm not saying this for any sort of sympathy, but it was just like, wow, I'm recognizing the burnout and I need to be aware of that and take care of myself. But I went to Richmond and Virginia Beach. That was all in one trip. These are places I've never been before, nor did I really request to go there. Typically with my agent, I will send her a list of cities that I really want to hit. And sometimes she'll be like, got it, but she's also going to send me to just other places. And this was one of those other places, Richmond and Virginia Beach. I still have this email list, which I kind of gauge where I have demand in. And, here's an example of where Richmond and Virginia sit. Let's say Chicago, I have probably 400 to 500 emails. Let's say Denver, I have probably 300 emails. Richmond, I have about 45 emails. Virginia Beach, have about maybe 30 emails. So I'm not expecting a lot, just based off the demand that I've seen. Not expecting much, still very excited to go. It's nice to do these type of shows in Richmond and Virginia Beach because it's like, I just got done with like New York and this feels so different. It's not like I'm going to try less hard, but I'm just going to be more relaxed. It feels like less pressure. It's more like, let's just go have fun. So I was really excited for that. I flew an airline that I've never flown before. I flew Breeze Airways. There's the only airline that flies nonstop from LA to Richmond on like 3 days a week, 3 days a week. It's like Tuesdays and Fridays and Sundays or something. And so I flew in the day before on a Tuesday. I had to like look up, I did like Reddit deep dives on Breeze because I was like, bro, what am I getting myself into? Like, what is this airline? What's Breeze? I like didn't feel comfortable about it. But I did the research and everyone was like, it's cool. And I took it and it was great. I paid for a seat with extra legroom, which was fucking pointless. Dude, the extra legroom seats, it's like, well, come on. It's this much space. It's like 5 inches of space. It's nothing. It's like my boy Jason Collins has that joke about the upright position in the seats, how they make you put your seat up for landing, where I'm like, here's dead, here you're alive. Go look up that bit. It's fucking hilarious. Actually, just go watch a Jason Collins special on YouTube. Just go do that because it's so funny, and I was there for it. Anyways, you pay for the extra legroom, and I'm like, this means nothing to me. First class is the only upgrade that makes sense. And your boys, I'll get to that. First impression of Richmond, Virginia, I've never been before, but I genuinely really liked it as a city. I didn't know I was going to so much. It was like cute. It was nice. It felt safe. Just a good vibe. I don't know how to else describe it other than like, it was just this really... I think I already nailed it. It was like clean. It was friendly. It was a lot of greenery. It was just, you can park easily. People are walking around at night alone without being like nervous. It was just a good vibe, man. And I got in and I actually went right to a grocery store and got groceries because we're in an Airbnb. Nolan and I are in an Airbnb, which I'm liking more and more doing the Airbnbs because it's like if you're there for a couple of days, you can get eggs, you can get sausage, like you can get avocados to make a breakfast instead of getting some bullshit breakfast sandwich at a coffee shop for $8 and it's like bacon, egg, and cheese, cholesterol, or make it myself. And so I went to a Kroger and legit got the same groceries I get at home. So now I'm comfy and the vibes are way up. I didn't like though is that we got up for coffee the first day and they charged me $20 for coffee. Dude, Nolan got like a triple shot latte. I got a double shot espresso over ice, $20. I was like, hey, Richmond, you're on thin ice. And look, I can afford $20 coffees. It's not about that. It's about the principle. And I didn't have the moment of being like, hey, why is this $20? I was just thinking about a million other things. So I got scammed a little bit in Richmond. And the other things I was thinking about is this is a thing that happened while I was in Richmond. I got a college show offer for the next week. So the week I'm here in LA, this is the week after this trip, right? And so I got an offer to go to fucking Williamsburg, Virginia on that Saturday. Meaning I would get back from Richmond and then the next week, in my off week, before I go back to the East Coast for Pittsburgh and Buffalo, I would do a college show in Virginia. And I turned it down. And it was for thousands of dollars. And it sucks to turn it down, but I was like, I'm in the middle of the burnout. That's going to be so bad for me. The only thing it'll be good for is my bank account. It'll be bad for my health. It'll be bad for my relationship. It'll be bad for the show probably won't be that fun either because college shows are like hard. And so I turned it down. So I was like, I think that's why I didn't say shit about the $20 coffee because I was like actively turning down money while spending $20 for fucking coffee. So that's what was going on there. And went to the club, the Richmond Funny Bone. I love doing Funny Bones. They're like the old school comedy clubs. I love doing them. The vibe was so good there. It was the coolest staff, the nicest managers. It was such a great vibe. And again, like I said earlier, the ticket expectation and the goal, this is a smaller market, right? Where I was doing, shit. I went to Liberty Township, Ohio, which is basically Cincinnati. I did 60 tickets there. In my head, my head's not here, my head's here. In my head, I could do 70 tickets in these cities easily. Because a year ago in Raleigh and Charlotte, those are mid-markets, I did 90 tickets. And yes, I've grown, but I got to see it to believe it. And so I remember for Richmond, I was like, I'd be stoked about 100 tickets. 100 tickets on a Wednesday in a small market feels really good. And your boy did 130. I feel great about that. Because again, 150 is that goal we're trying to hit. And I was not that far. So I feel great about it. And seeing and feeling that growth is fantastic for everybody. Overall, it was a great show. The clip I posted yesterday, if you're watching this the week the pod comes out, was the with the old folks in the front who evacuated from the hurricane. I'll give some context. I basically saw these old folks in the corner who were like not happy to be there. The old man was like icing me out, right? Looked pissed. And the woman was like on her phone. My whole set. And I was like, it's fine that you're here, but like, why are you in the front row? And also, why are you here? Turns out, I was like, hey, what's going on? Well, nicely. You saw the clip. I was like, who are you guys? And they were one of the guys. It was a man and a woman, husband and wife. It was the husband's parents. And he was like, they're my parents. And I was like, why are they here? And they were like, well, they evacuated from Florida and they're taking refuge here. And I was like, oh, cool. So I'm just a piece of shit now. Sorry. And you know what the woman was doing on her phone? She was looking at her house in the middle of a hurricane. So yeah, man, that was fun. But like you saw in the clip, and if you haven't watched the clip, go to my Instagram and watch it. My goal was to get them to laugh because they're going through some hard shit right now, some scary shit, out of their control type of shit. And I was like, I want to make them laugh. I want to give them a distraction for an hour. And after a little bit of time, I got them. And I got them laughing. I didn't talk to them after. I kind of regret actually not like ending the set and before I walk off stage, like shaking their hand to be like, wishing you the best, great to meet you. Because that's typically what I would do, and I didn't do that. But it was a good experience to have, man. It's a challenge, and I like a challenge, and it makes me confident. And it was a great experience to have. And I had just a great time in Richmond. The meet and greet was awesome. I didn't bring enough merch, which sucked. I left Richmond with 3 posters for a whole other show in Virginia Beach. Whoops. And you know what's cool about people in these type of towns is in Richmond, they were like, thank you for coming to our town. You go to some other bigger cities, they're like, yeah, you're lucky to be here, right? Like Seattle or some shit or whatever. And pick a city. Pick Denver. I mean, no, Denver's the shit. Whatever, Chicago, whatever. People are kind of like, hey, Boston, you're lucky to be here. But when you go to small towns, Richmond, they're like, thank you for coming. And I'm like, yeah, bro. Thanks for having me. We drove to Virginia Beach the next day, hour and a half drive, no biggie. The back-to-back towns can be hard. Last year, there was some like 3-4 hour drives, and that is tough. We got coffee in the morning, and it was $12, and I was like, yeah, dude, thank you. That's what it's supposed to be. Easy, fun drive. Got to Virginia Beach, and I'm having a blast the whole time with my buddy Nolan. It's just fun to be doing stand-up as a career. It's even better to do it with like your best friend. We had so much fun, man. But I got to Virginia Beach with like an hour before we had to leave for the show, and I was absolutely gassed. I was like laying in my hotel bed, phone somewhere, just staring up at the ceiling, gassed, burnt out. And you just got to keep going. There's nothing you can really do about it. You just got to keep going. And I've had this, I had like a really bad sty in my eye. Bro, you guys ever have styes before? It feels like there's a little rock in your eye at all times. And I've had it for the last like week, and it's brutal. It's just getting better now a little bit, but oh my God, dude. It was like I had the burnout, plus I had this weird thing in my eye. I was like, bro, this is the hard part right here of stand up. This is the hard part. But got to the club, to Virginia Beach. I was feeling really excited about this show. I've heard great things about this club. I didn't know how I was going to do with tickets. They gave me the ticket counts, and again, it was the same goals of the 150. To me, I was like, let's break 100, because 2 days earlier, I was at 86. And so with that, I was like, hey, I would be really stoked if I broke 100. And I didn't necessarily think I would. I was like, I don't know what to expect. And I got the counts when I got there, and it was 130 tickets again. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy, because Richmond was one thing. I have a bigger demand in Richmond. Virginia Beach, I was like, bro, I could sell 40 tickets. And I sold 130. What? It was awesome. Like, more clear evidence of growth. It felt great. And so I was just really excited for the show, because I was like, I've heard great things. It's kind of packed. Let's have a fun show. And dude, the show was pretty tough. I tell you what, man, I'm so grateful to everyone that came out to Virginia Beach, but that was one of the tougher crowds I've ever performed in front of. I don't know why. I didn't expect it. Nolan went up, did a great set. I was feeling great, and it was just kind of hard. The vibe was off. I was doing my usual stuff, but my normal kind of charm and silliness and fun was not as well received. I was doing crowd work with people, and it felt like I was pulling teeth. Like, there was no energy. There was no, I felt very little excitement. And, for crowd work, it's like you need energy, you need fun, but it was like, the vibe wasn't there. And I mean, it was so off where it was like, I asked a guy like, hey, he was a guy with like his older kids, and I was like, hey, is there a wife? Do you have a wife? And he was like, I'm a widow. And I was like, oh fuck. Got out of that as fast as possible, right? This is how fast I got out of that situation. He was like, I'm a widow. And I was like, a widow? Sorry for your loss. Hey man, so I have a question for you. Get me out of there. Pivoted immediately. Because it's not his fault for answering that. It's my fault for like, don't ask an older guy who's alone where his wife is, you fucking idiot, Will. But whatever. I did the best I could. And it was one of those shows where I really did the best I could, but I was like, man, they were kind of hard. And that's the game. That's comedy. And of course, the show is objectively good and people had a good time. I know that. But it just, maybe I was a little off because of the fatigue and the burnout. I think I'd be stupid for not factoring that in, but I was ready to rip. And there was no ripping to be had. And I will go back to Virginia Beach because I liked the people and everyone was cool, but the vibe was a little bit off. I did my best. That's all I'm going to say. But now I am home for a week and a half. Finally, and it feels so good as I just exhale all this energy out. I go to Pittsburgh on Tuesday for this is like the crazy part of the tour, for another East Coast run, and then my schedule slows way down. I have like 2 weeks off. I have the week of Halloween, and then we go to Cabo the week after that, and then it's just kind of easy breezy until the rest of the year. So it's been a lot, but this is what I've wanted, and I'm so grateful every day to be doing this, and especially feeling the growth. It makes me even more excited and more motivated. It's just a really good time, man, and it's been fun because I've been doing this podcast for over a year now. It's been fun to kind of come on here and say how well things are going, and then to now look ahead a year of doing this and be like, wow, things are going even better. And everyone around me keeps being like, hey, you're about to blow up. I wouldn't be surprised if you're at 1 million followers in 6 months or whatever. It's like the universe is sending me a lot of signs that things are going to keep going up, and I'm ready for it. I'm stoked, and I will say I've quick update. I am going to shoot a special in April in Sacramento. That is happening. I am doing everything myself. I'm paying for it myself. I'm producing it myself, which is classic Will. You know, this is how I've always done my career. Just I will never wait around for shit. If I want to shoot a special, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it myself. So the official announcement coming soon on that. But I got the dates; they're locked in. It's scary. It's exciting. It's everything. It's all the feelings. But you know, I am at that point. I'll have been doing stand-up for 10 years, and I'm like, I'm ready. And more to come on that. I will give you guys an early heads up about the dates and everything when they're on sale, and I'll do a big announcement, you know, as it gets closer. So yeah, dude, that's the pod, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, I'm gonna start doing this version of the podcast a little less frequently. I'm working on some other stuff, but I will always kind of come back to this model I've created, and if anything, it's kind of going to become like the stand-up diaries for me and you guys, to continue to share these experiences and what it really feels like to go through this journey. So I really appreciate you guys for being a part of it. Come see me on the road. Come see me in Pittsburgh and Buffalo next week, and then Cleveland and Philly. The shows are filling up, and I can't wait to see you guys. And that's the pod. Please subscribe to the channel, and have a good rest of the week, dude. I'll see you guys soon. Later.